Today we will talk about XDC and some updates on some huge progress in its tokenization of the trade finance industry, which is projected to be worth about 30 trillion in terms of tokenized assets. And here is an example of the importance of all of this.
And he wants to take $25 worth of credit from another lender. Let's say you got little Bobby over here who's willing to have him collateralize his debt and then issue him another $25 off of that. Well, you just took money that was borrowed and you are able to leverage that borrowed asset for more capital. And every time you do that is more demand for the network. And it's just, like I said, it's just like how when you trade stocks or trade bonds on these networks, you need the network token, or at least you need tokens on the network to be able to exchange that value. But with debt, you can leverage debt upon itself. And this is something that already happens. You could look at fractional reserve banking, or you can just look at just like traditional like finance in terms of what's good debt, bad debt in the corporate sense. And you could take something that's already debt and leverage it upon itself for capital, and then essentially use that to buy either more debt or more equities or more whatever. But what that ends up doing is all of that still perpetuates demand for the network, just like you would buying any other asset.
The XDC Trade Network completed its first transaction using an electronic promissory note, which cuts transaction times from days to hours, and it is MLETR compliant. The highlights of how it actually works and why it is important are that it requires way less human interaction, gives access to liquidity, is secure, and is completely legally binding. The XDC network offers unlimited free support in transitioning existing systems into the XDC network if you become a stakeholder, which comes with a cost of only about 1.5 million at this point in time. Streamlined efficiency like this can provide a rapid ROI. Companies won't have a choice to adopt post-MLETR. And on top of that, as a stakeholder, all of that 50 million XDC is yield bearing and can also be used to settle transactions for instant on-chain smart. It is in the Hyperledger family, which all ties back into IBM and has a ton of connections that go in between IBM and Stellar. It is also heavily connected into R3 and the DTCC, which has a lot of connections into XDC, XLM, and XRP. And the R3 Corda connections in between XDC and XRP are pretty deep. And I have explained how it is not only plausible that the Corda platform is using XRP now, I have also shown proof in terms of documentation that clearly illustrates that the connection is still there. The head of the XDC Network Enterprise Alliance and Ventures attended the ITFA event on DNI, which is about adopting MLETR and digitizing all trade, which is important because the XDC network is the only L1 involved in the ITFA. Here is an example of how Enigio on XDC has received patent approval in China and the US, and it is about digitizing documents. But what is possibly even more important are the companies that have notice of Enigio's MLETR solutions and have cited them, which includes Google, NASDAQ, Intel, IBM again, and T-Mobile. And if we go to the XDC map, Enigio is called out on here because of their involvement in tokenizing documents. It is also calling out MLETR on here, which is a model law on electronic transferable records, which is out of the UN. And when you're trying to tokenize a global industry that powers practically every country on earth. You can't just create a company and just go about it that way. You have to have connections and inroads and a lot of experience. And there are a lot of government ties into XC. You've got Dubai tokenizing gold, a Panama Chamber of Commerce, which is a trade finance hub because of the Panama Canal, Abu Dhabi Global Market Trade Finance testing, UK Parliament MLETR written evidence, Trade Tech hosting a tokenized US Treasury bond, and Singapore's IMDA Trade Trust partnering in MLETR. A lot of people have become extremely frustrated with XDC because of price action, and it's not in a glamorous industry. However, it is the core of blockchain and DLT technology in one of the most valued industries out there.